with heArt Studios. We have had a really fun day today talking to people in the performance art industries from all different realms, and we are so grateful and extremely excited to introduce Ashley here with us. But before we get started in that, for those of you watching who don't know, I'm the founder of heArt Studios. It's a newly launched organization here in Nashville, and we exist to break the generational cycles of abuse and trauma by transforming the heart through creative expression. We do so by partnering with different artists or professionals in the creative field to walk alongside youth impacted by domestic violence and trauma and just share their artistic giftings and talents with them. Ashley, I am honored that you are here to take some time with us to tell a little bit about your story. Ashley comes to us as an extremely successful makeup artist who's dabbled into that world after leaving corporate, might I say corporate hell? And has now stepped into different realms of making a career path in teaching, speaking, and actually being able to promote other artists' journeys into the being successful careers. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you get started in all of it? Because I know this wasn't the path you chose.
You're right. Thank you for having me, first of all. But this was totally not my career path. I was an incredibly driven child, like every sport under the sun at the highest level, honors classes, AP classes. And I had convinced myself that the path for life and success was to go into the corporate world. So when I went off to school, that was my plan. And I graduated school and went out and got my dream job at 22, 21 maybe. And I did that for a few years. And after a few years, I was like, what the heck? I've got my dream job. Now what do I do? And I'm barely 25. But I had the realization that there was this creative side of me that I continued to do in the background, but I just convinced myself that it wasn't ever going to be a career, because how could you be successful at that and make money? And I actually studied abroad in school because I was done with school early. And my parents said, you can't graduate yet. And I studied art and I painted in Florence, Italy for 6 months straight. And it really harnessed this like insane love for creating. And when I got home, I continued to paint, and I continued to paint on faces, friends that were getting married, photo shoots for people who are starting companies, just fun things. And all of a sudden I had an aha moment, like, wait a minute, I'm doing almost more makeup than I am anything else. What am I doing? And I literally quit my like big wig corporate executive, travel all over the world job, and became a makeup artist overnight.
That is, one, it's unheard of. Two, you're like a walking Hallmark movie of like, you went to Florence, started painting, came back, got out of the corporate world, and just picked up a paintbrush. And now I am, can I say, jealous of your path? But I shouldn't say that, because as a driven human being and as a person, it sounds like you were raised with just the integrity of work ethic. And that's really what's driven you into being a successful makeup artist. But on top of that, now you're able to coach and teach and speak from stage about your journey. And how did the elements of how you were raised obviously play into getting you to where you are today?
Well, I come from a household that it's sort of like dream the dream, worry about the details later, whether that's like money or scheduling or ability. Just dream the dream and then just go get it, you know? And so that's sort of always been my mindset. And I definitely am very much a type A individual. So I think that helps. But when I started to do makeup, it came very naturally, and my business started to book out very quickly. And a lot of my fellow makeup artists or people in the industry would ask me like, well, how are you staying on top of all these things with everything else you have going on? And I just started sharing online how I was just managing my day, managing my workflow, managing my communication with clients, like what I would say to kind of book the job or wrap up a job and get an incredible review. And I started to get these private emails and DMs from people. I'm not even joking, 7 pages long, saying, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so grateful for you. I was ready to give up. My husband is sick with cancer and I want to be an artist, but I just don't know what I don't know. And your help has allowed me to do blah, 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 and da, da, da." And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to share more. Because I truly do not believe in competition when it comes to the arts. And so community over competition, I just started sharing everything that I knew, because I knew that people would book me or want to work with me because of the energy exchange that we're having, and that they may resonate with somebody else better because of their energy exchange, and that's okay. So I shared and shared and shared and shared, and soon realized that there was an opportunity here to expand upon just sharing, but putting together a framework to help other artists, creatives, learn more about what their passion entails. Because a lot of times it's like, you just don't know what you need to do. Mm-hmm. But 2, turn that creative passion into a profitable, successful career. Because I'm working about 5 to 7 days a week, and I want everybody else to be doing the same. There's enough work to go around.
That's incredible. And I feel there's a big relatability here with what we are trying to do with our studio, and that's to be able to channel children's passion for the arts, but show them that they can dabble into it professionally, because I think there's a huge missing link when we grow up, or when we are going through the traditional school system that says, okay, you can do art as a hobby, but like, let's make money over here. And we're losing this population. And now this day and age where the arts are being cut from schools, they're finding the depression rate is skyrocketing in our youth today. And I feel like, maybe there's some coincidence behind that. And so to be able to give them tools, give them resources, give them specific steps to take it on as a career is so valuable, and it's missing in school systems. And so that's incredible that you've been able to just pick that up on your own, but then be able to channel that out and message that abroad and to the masses. Have you seen it really work for others? Like, have others been saying, hey, I used your program, or I've used your system, and here's A, B, and C of how it's been successful?
Oh my gosh, totally. And I mean, I just want to say, like, you hit the nail on the head. Like, these elements of running a business in general, they don't teach you the day-to-day things, not to mention teaching you it in a creative space, And so I was just lucky that I was able to have that corporate background, and I was able to sort of infiltrate some of the things that I learned into running this creative business. Because at the end of the day, business is business, right? We need to know what to do. So yes, I've been running the Business of Makeup, which is the online education that I created. I have the Business of Makeup and the Business of Makeup Bridal for about 4 years now. I've had hundreds of students go through the program to extreme success, a lot of which are more successful than I am in terms of the very generalized success parameters that makeup artists have. A lot of them, their end all be all goal is to be in vogue. They're in vogue. So it just depends on what their definition of success is. But for sure, I've had students going from realizing that they were only charging like 37 cents on the hour to being a profitable business and actually paying themselves and putting money into their savings account. People who have just started out, who didn't even have a makeup kit, to people who've been in the industry for 30 years, have gone through the program and had exponential success on the other side. It's just going back to the basics and being open to wrapping your mind around something new, maybe paying attention to things that aren't working for you and trying a different approach. It's critical that our students are open to the path. And if they follow the path, we've seen incredible success.
Yeah. And I just want to point out and be clear, for those that are watching that don't know Ashley, she's not categorizing her profession as being called the business of makeup. Her business is literally called the business of makeup. And so we'll make sure to link all of that in the video and in the comments so you can follow her journey and, some of the fun things that she's out doing. So we've had a few interesting people on today, and some might think, why is that in the creative arts industry? And with that comes usually hair and makeup. And I'm one to say, hello, how is it not creative? You think of a hairstylist and they're on their feet for 12 hours a day and they're literally painting color on someone's head. And like you said, I started painting my friends' faces. It's a creative industry and very expressive when you can go there. How or what are some of the things that you in your favorite, I guess, maybe clients or looks that you find yourself really expressing the Ashley art of makeup?
Well, that's a really good question. It definitely is a very creative industry. I mean, I literally use a palette and I put like 400 colors on the palette for one person's face. It's not like we're going to Sephora and squeezing out one color and putting it over somebody and saying, bye, have a good day. We're paying attention to all kinds of things like lighting, understanding what kind of cameras are being used. It is definitely its own language and its own process and creative process that a lot of people don't realize that we have to be thinking about. And then also longevity, of course. But for me, one of the things that I love the most is, and I think a lot of people are going to expect me to say like, oh, wild and crazy avant-garde makeup. The truth of the matter is that I just like creating a look on somebody, male or female, that they feel like their best self. To me, that is like what lights me up. It's when somebody walks in and sits in your chair and is kind of like, wah, wah, and then they leave with like a pep in their step. They're standing up a little bit taller. They feel more confident. To me, that is the most critical element. And that could be an individual, like if you were to come to me and get your makeup done, or it could be a runway model. It could be a beauty campaign. It could be a commercial. Ultimately, if somebody feels good in their own skin, it's going to translate on camera and translate on film. And that to me is the ultimate goal.
And translate into the world.
Yeah, for sure.
And film and TV, but into the world, and to be able to radiate that confidence because you've been able to help them get to that level. I love that you said about you have to think about the lighting and think about what cameras are going to be used. Are you in a production? Are you on runway? Is this for print? And, one thing that maybe you don't know is for the studio, we want to encompass all the studios under one roof. So we'll have a film studio next to the photography studio, next to the fashion design studio. Then down the hall, there's a dance studio and an art studio, even a floral therapy studio. And so the kids will be able to just like run the studio from studio to studio to collaborate on some of these projects. And where one might resonate with makeup and fashion, maybe one won't, and they'll resonate with music and song. And so we have all these opportunities for them to tap in and dabble into those creative industries. But we'll be using artists such as yourself to come in and teach these classes to say, hey, if you're going to do this look, you got to think about this light. And I love that that's exactly what you have to be thinking about at all times. It's not just, painting the palette to somebody's face. And so from corporate world to where you are today, I don't want to speak against corporate because there is a huge benefit. Obviously, our country's running, in a corporate nation, but I feel as if there's a resounding statement from artists that say, I got out of it and now I'm able to do this and I feel so free. And because of that freedom has come this, and this. Do you feel that? I know you were talking about, what you've been able to do with your family and things like that. What are some of those freedoms?
For me, it's huge. When I left the corporate world, I literally had a boss tell me I was cancer in the company because I had found somebody else in the company that was doing something really bad. But for calling him out, I was in trouble for it. And I just was like, enough. I am not going to be putting myself in this toxic energy. Like I only want to be in an energy that I feel good and confident in. And ultimately for me, what that looked like was working for myself. I had enough confidence in myself that no matter what, I knew I was going to be successful because I had the drive to do it. And so in the beginning, it's trial and error, and it was, a little grindy. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And got it going. But now it's been able to afford me the freedom of, very recently, we've been able to adopt a new family member. We have a little baby boy who's joined our family, and being able to leave my business at a drop of the hat when we got the call that, he's being born. Okay, let's go. It's allowed us to be able to travel. I've been able to bring my daughter and my husband on trips to Italy with me, all over the world, to expose them to places that they've never been before. And I'm working. It allows us to also just travel. If we want to up and go somewhere tomorrow, we have the capability to be able to do that. So not only has it afforded me just freedom in my lifestyle, but it's also afforded me freedom financially. I'm able to provide for my entire family, and my husband can be home with our children during this COVID moment, where it's unknown what's going to happen, or if they're going to go back to school here in California. So you just never know.
Bless you all over there.
But we have the luxury to be able to make that decision. And to me, that's the ultimate freedom, is being able to have the luxury to make these types of choices.
Yeah. Gosh, isn't that what we all strive for at the end of the day, is to be able to have the luxury to make our own choices and provide for our family and be happy?
Yeah. And, to expand upon that, is the choice to also work with people that I want to work with. Being able to have a business where I can say no to clients that don't make me feel good or that are not in alignment with what I want to be doing. And then having the opportunity to say yes to all the clients that I absolutely adore means that like my day is spent working with people I'm obsessed with, and I get to paid for it, it's all good things. And so if you spend time in pursuing your creative passions and saying no to things that are not in alignment with what make you feel good and what your ultimate goal is, and spending time focusing on the things that do make you feel good and that you're good at, man, the possibilities are endless.
Yes. I know you burn the candle at both ends, and I'm sure you're running on all cylinders fired at all times, actually. But do you find that you're able to, when we talk about the freedoms that you're able to do and live in the lifestyle you're able to choose now, are you finding that you're able to give back and serve the community a little bit more? Or are you still like heads down, all business? I don't have time for that.
Oh, well, definitely. I think, ultimately the energy exchange that we have with people needs to be reciprocal. So if I were to be taking all the good vibes and not giving it back out, I think that that's just like against the rules of nature. So I definitely spend a lot of time coaching, just answering questions to anybody that needs it. A lot of them come through email or through DMs on Instagram, as well as people popping into the Business of Makeup community. It's just a free community on Facebook, and people ask all kinds of questions like, I'm in this situation, I don't know what to do. How do I handle this? What do I say? But then also I've spent a lot of time working with students that are still in school. So they're in cosmetology school or beauty school. I'll go in and I will teach to them and start the process of wrapping their mind around, this is a career, this is a business. Because in school, in creative school, cosmetology school, they only teach about 1 day of business related content. And that's if you're lucky. So going in and being able to say, okay, now you've learned all this amazing, great stuff. How are we going to leverage that into a career and make this the life that you want? And so going in and teaching students in that capacity has been really, really fulfilling, because I think a lot of them just haven't even opened their mind to that possibility yet.
Yeah, you're fulfilling such a need. I mean, it's one thing to learn the trade, it is just a complete other thing to learn the business. So there's a world out there that is wanting to dabble into the creative industry. And we've heard a lot about use social media to your advantage. Reach out where you can, make it your platform, use this as your sounding board. But there's a different population that's one, scared to reach out, but two, questioning, but are they really actually getting our DMs? And I know that you're getting filled every day with questions. What's something you could tell somebody that would say, hey, I'm going to read this one? What's like a pop in the message that grabs your attention?
Well, I think a lot of times people ask very general questions like, how did you get started? How are you so successful? And that's just like a huge discussion, So I think if you have questions for somebody that you admire and you want to reach out to, I would ask them very specific questions. Really dive into something so that one, if they're super busy, they can give you like a couple word answer and that will sort of suffice what you were looking for. But two, they won't feel overwhelmed that they have to write this diatribe of information to you,
Amen.
So I think be very specific in reaching out. The other thing I always tell my students is be complimentary of the individual. If you're going to reach out to somebody on Instagram or Facebook or whatnot, do a little bit of research first, pay attention to what they've been up to, watch their stories, maybe check out their highlight reels, just to make sure that the question that you're asking the answer isn't already available to you. That's always kind of an annoyance when it's like, please refer to blank.
Yeah.
So do a little bit of research because it shows respect. It shows that you spent the time to look. And if you still have questions, say, hey, listen, I saw your post and you explained it this way. I had, a question to expand upon that. Could you tell me a little bit more about X, Y, and Z? That is one way to definitely grab my attention in a DM because it shows that you actually are interested. You're not just like looking for free information and all of the secrets,
100%. And that's actually a good banner for everyone to take on, not just in Instagramming and trying to reach out to somebody you look up to, but in business, in really anything, resumes, try interviewing for a job, like do your research and ask really specific pointed questions. It's a really good tidbit to take to. So expand a little bit on that if you were to give somebody some advice, because it didn't just fall into your lap. You worked really hard to get to where you are today. And I know you picked up a paintbrush one time and started painting your friends' faces, but you had to be intentional about, how you were posting, what you were posting, who you were networking with, how you got your word of mouth out there. So if you could travel back to maybe Ashley at like 10 years old and could give her a little piece of advice, what would you say?
It's going to sound cliche, but it's two things. Pay attention to what makes you happy, because I can't work 5 to 7 days doing makeup or anything for that matter, away from my children, away from my husband, if it doesn't make me happy. And your job is only going to get more intense, more busy, more time consuming, as time goes by. So make sure that you're doing something that makes you happy. And in line with that, do not chase the money. It's so easy to chase the money and you end up in a space 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road that you hate.
Yeah.
So do not chase the money. The money will come. One of the things I just was talking about in the business of makeup community the other day is just pick your lane and stick with it. Your lane may change over the course of your life. That's okay. But pick a lane and stick with it, because when you become an expert at something, like the expert at avant-garde makeup, the expert at dyeing, the rainbow colored hair, the expert at fill in the blank, I don't care what it is, that's when you get paid more, is when you're an expert at it. So do what you love and don't follow the money, because the money will come.
Oh, that's good. And that's a wrap. That's such good advice. It's such good advice. And we haven't really heard that yet this week. And so thank you for sharing that. I really, really appreciate everything you're able to teach us. Is there a way that we're able to either sign up for your classes or follow along to some videos on your website? I did not do my research, so I'm doing exactly what you told us not to do. But Ashley, tell us how we can learn a little bit more from you.
Well, definitely the best way if you just want to pop in is follow me on Instagram at Business of Makeup or at Ashley Fierro MUA. I'm constantly posting what I'm up to, and I always provide little tips and tricks for behind the scenes things. So if you are interested in being in the industry, pay attention because I drop all kinds of fun nuggets there. And then also the Business of Makeup on Facebook. I go on there live at least once a week with all kinds of business advice, answering questions. And then you can head on over to ashleyfierro.com if you want to get on our wait list for the next launch of the Business of Makeup.
That's perfect. Well, you have a new fan, a new subscriber in me. To piggyback on top of some of what Ashley just said about her post, if you're an artist looking into getting into the industry of heArt Studios and this mission speaks to you, definitely reach out to our Instagram. It's heartstudios.org, or reach out to us on our website at heartstudios.org. We're constantly looking for artists that want to come along and champion this mission as well as share their giftings with our youth. So don't be afraid to reach out and use those little pointers that she had said on how to do so. But as well, if this mission speaks to you, we are currently looking and searching all around Nashville for the perfect space to house these studios. So that comes with a cost. And if you're not able to volunteer or time is not where you're able to give back what financially gifting is, we definitely have different options for you to support us either as a sponsor or a financial giver throughout the year. So again, email us at info@heartstudios.org if giving financially is more your cup of tea. Ashley, thank you so much. I can't wait to check out more of everything that you have going on because makeup is my love language. But even more so, just learning the tidbits and tricks of the business. And I know you're crazy busy, and so I really appreciate your time being able to sit and chat with us a little bit.
Oh my gosh, it's been my honor. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody, tune in tomorrow as we finish up this week's videos of Stories of the Heart on Fashion Friday.